still a 2-liter displacement limit, which is class rules, with a 45mm restrictor. These are making closer to 580 horsepower. We need a way to overcome the inherent lag in the turbocharger, so that when they lift out of the throttle to either brake into a corner or just back off slightly to change line, when they come back on the power, we need that instant power. So another new thing we've done is we've added what's called a response valve. And the response valve takes air that's charged from the turbocharger, bypasses the throttle body when you're off the throttle. It goes back to this valve on the bulkhead, which then is controlled by the ECU for the engine and sends air back to these lower hoses back into the intake manifold. So even though the driver's told the throttle to close, we can still keep the engine going at full power until they come back into the throttle, and there's absolutely no lag at all. And when you hear the cars out there running, you hear a lot of popping and banging, and that is that whole system working to keep the power up. So those are the areas we've really been focusing on to not only have that power, but make it usable, make it drivable. It can't come on like a switch, because then you just get massive amounts of wheel spin and the car is really difficult to drive. After the engine, the next thing that we've done is the transmission. When these cars started, they were an H pattern, just like you would have in the road car. They were dog engagement, which meant instead of just having synchros and rings, you actually have dogs on each gear that grab each other and pull it into gear. These are now sequentially shifted, no more H pattern. There's a load cell on the shifter that tells the engine ECU to cut the spark signal, so the driver never has to lift off the throttle, he just shifts flat. Throttle's flat on the floor, grab a gear and go. It takes about 60 milliseconds to change gear. On an H pattern, you can plan on losing 1/10 of a second every gear change. So if you change gear 30 times on a lap, you're losing 3 seconds just in gear changes. So going to the sequential, again, makes the car faster. These cars, by the class rules, are not allowed to use any kind of center differential. So unlike in the road car, where you have a driver-controlled center diff, where you can select how much you want to the front and to the rear, this car is locked 100% of the time. The front wheels are driving the same as the rear wheels. The only exception to that is when you pull the handbrake, there is a switch that uncouples that completely, just so that you can turn in on those tighter corners. And there's a little clutch unit under the car that just opens up, uncouples the rear. You're still driving the front, get through the corner, you release that handbrake, and it couples back up again.